Here we are, episode number 8 of Age of Paradox podcast.
It's number 9, isn't it?
No, it's 8.
Oh, God damn it. It's fine. 8. Back to school. 8.
We're here. Yeah. How's been doing?
Yeah, good.
Did you follow the elections?
I have actually followed the election and I even voted. So
You voted?
I did vote.
Oh, yeah, of course, you vote. It's European.
I can vote. I'm European. I voted. And my vote apparently counted for something. But yeah, I did.
You want to disclose who you voted for?
So I voted for central right. So yeah, central right. Like it's in Finland. So I'm a Finnish citizen.
Oh,
so
you voted in Finland.
So I voted for Finland. I could have voted for Spain, but I knew how that's gonna go.
I was thinking about Spain.
Yeah. But I voted for Finland, and I'm happy because that party won. They kicked out the right wing, which was they came now 6th. That they had the most votes. The right wing came now 6th. They have like fraction of votes. So things changed.
What does it mean? I'm curious. What does it mean that that party you call right wing? Why is it right wing?
It's not. It's right wing. It's actually it's not right wing in Finland. It's called edge, the extreme edge of the other party. That's what it's called there. It's on the edge of the other party. There are 2 parties on the edge. One is the edge, the other on the edge, and they're one is like clashing with each other. And Finnish politics is like really small. It's tiny, and it's really related to Sweden, and anything that Russia does, they do opposite. So it doesn't really matter. President holds quite a lot of power. President is not part of this. Like he's a little bit above. It's an interesting construction, but the central party in there, and I'm not a political analyst, I can't really talk too much about it, but it's quite young, it's female-led. I think all the ministers are mostly, like many ministers are females, and they align each other a lot with Denmark and Sweden.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know anything about Finland politics, but I asked about the extreme or far right, because that's been the news about the European elections turnout, that it was a big win for far-right parties.
Do they use that to scare people off, the terminology?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I see it as propaganda from leading parties in power who are maybe more, well, I don't want to say more centrist, because I don't, like we talked about in the episode about far-right extremism in the Netherlands. Yeah. Now it's far-right extremism in Europe. Yeah. If you look at France, of course, Marie Le Pen.
She got a lot.
She was the biggest one.
She
that's why Macron said, okay, we need elections.
Hold on. Can you tell me what that means? Because these are European elections. So why would Macron hold parliamentary elections?
You don't have to. There's no connection between the two. But he just felt in this, because it's a measuring stick. Every election is a measuring stick. So what you see sometimes is that when, I think it happened with Brexit as well. So they lost Brexit, and then they said, okay, well, that was on more accounts. Then we see that our party, because our stance was, who was again Prime Minister
in Britain? Cameron,
but he was from Labour, or was he from
Conservative?
He was from Conservative, but then they felt like we need new leadership who agrees with the turnout of this election, and that's kind of what Macron did as well. So he said, "This is a message to me, because I didn't win, and apparently the course I have been. We should have elections in 2 years, but since I feel there's less support from my political party, I want to hold new elections." But he didn't have to. He could say, "Oh, this is shit. I'm going to work harder the next 2 years and make sure that I'm going to be the biggest in 2." But he just gave up and said, "Okay."
Feels like a huge gamble.
It is, because he is probably gonna lose big, because they're gonna have elections in 3 weeks now, I think.
What? But that's Olympics. They have Olympics coming up.
Really?
Yeah, the Olympics is in August, or end of July.
Oh,
July. Yeah, July.
They're going to have elections way before that. I think it was beginning of July.
Wow, why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, he feels there's no support. I'm not sure. I can't think of another reason behind it, which I always love to do, the reason behind the things they say in public, what's behind it in closed doors. But he announced elections. They're going to have them in July, and the chance that Marie Le Pen is going to be the biggest is, if I would have to bet money on it right now, I would bet money on her to become the biggest.
Why do you think that happened? Why did Le Pen and that party win so much votes?
Well, I think it's there's several things going on.
Make it simple so that I understand.
Yeah, well, it's not complicated, but it's just it's not complex, but it's just multiple things. One, the biggest issue here, if I equate it to the Netherlands or to Germany and a lot of places in Europe, is immigration.
What kind of immigration?
The refugees.
Okay, illegal reformation and
I think we talked about this in other.
Yeah,
no,
can you
it's
just
legal. It's legal.
Uh-huh.
Different. It's a different topic than in the US, where they actually debate having and allowing illegal immigration. But here, that's non-existent because it's quite easy to. It's existent.
So,
but it's more on they want to restrict the legal immigration.
So immigration as a whole, right?
Yeah,
right. But not like European skilled immigration.
That's impossible. It's part of. Well, that's also the whole thing about. There's so many angles to this, but
that's why this is a very interesting subject. So if you have the angles, just give them because I'm really interested to understand it.
Well, I'm interesting, but I'm one of my big. So what you see now in Europe, there's a lot of parties who won are what they call far right. That's why I asked about Finland because I want to know your definition of far right, because I believe it's a mute point that they make it that it's far right.
Mute point.
Yeah, it's not a point.
Right.
What far right means is that parties who are usually it's just about immigration. If you are anti-immigration, you're immediately called far right. It doesn't have anything to do with like I told you in the other episode about where left and right comes from. It comes from the French Parliament, the Assemblée, where the people on the right were pro the king and the kingdom and being conservative and conserving the status quo, the monarchy, and the left was the progressive. They wanted to move forward. They want to move away from the monarchy, and they want to have self-governance.
Right. Okay.
If I look at my political views now, I'm for self-governance, not just from a king, which we have so here in the Netherlands, but also from a president or any ruler or any authority. It should be I'm my own authority, and we don't need to be told when and where to do whatever. But these subjects, left and right, keeps on changing. So now far right is being seen not as someone who is conservative per se, but he's anti-immigration.
Okay.
And he's nationalist also usually. They're me first or our country first, whatever. I think those are the main pointers people have from when something is considered far right or not.
Right, and you see the big countries, Germany, France, Italy moving, and also Netherlands moving to that anti-immigration. Austria was also big in that.
Austria and France had the anti-immigration, the far right parties won. They became number one.
And Hungary as well, right? So Viktor Orban, 52%. I heard 52%.
Is that
it's the biggest one. I think it's stable. But he just got a fine. They're getting a 200 million euro fine for not processing illegal any asylum seekers.
Yeah, to be honest, so that's where I was going. Right. So I think it's not that. They all are anti-immigration, but you can't do that when you're in the EU.
Okay.
So also that's why I think that Geert Wilders is a liar, because he's going to combat immigration. But we also have there's several things going on in elections. Because the European elections were held. We also formed a cabinet, which means we know who our prime minister is. I think we talked about that also, but we also know who the other ministers are right now.
Okay.
So, also which ministries we're going to have, but that's maybe something for later. But immigration is going to be a new ministry, and he wants to really, because that's his thing, he wants to cut.
Can you just form a new ministry like that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can. But it doesn't really mean anything, because the European Union states certain things. You should allow refugees in. You should give them a certain level of support. And besides the fact that if you're for or against it, that's something you cannot circumvent. So the fine he got is within the legal framework he's operating from is how you say that?
allowed or not allowed?
Yeah,
or
no, it's allowed. I'm looking for a different, more.
Or like tolerated or something like that.
Yeah. So it's fitting. It's fitting. It fits the situation because he's not upholding a European, the European agreement he signed when joining the European Union, which I again am against. But this is so. Yeah, but there's been I think so. Immigration is a thing that's been on people's mind. You asked me how this election result came to be. That's one. But I also feel, what we also talk about a lot, that a lot of these parties, they're less woke. They're more direct. They're more, in that sense, more authentic. And I think a lot of people are really fed up with the fake politicians. They're always talking good, never making a mistake, never owning up to anything. And that's what a lot of people, despite what you find from their stances, despite what I think about their stance, because these are not my parties, because they're not anti-government per se, but they are more viewed as they're more direct. And I also I like to listen to Trump because he doesn't bullshit. Where Biden or Kamala Harris, even worse, or Clinton. I can see you're lying to me just to get my vote, and I hate that. I hate that inauthenticity they have. So these parties are from a different type, different DNA, and I think people they like that, and they don't like the. I also think there's, especially in Netherlands, there's been a lot of fight on climate towards farmers.
All right, this is a big topic.
Yeah, and they don't. Again, this is butt out. They just feel now butt out. You're interfering too much, and we want a different stance.
What do you think the farmers? You think they voted for the right?
There wasn't also the Farmers' Party, so either for them or the Farmers' Party, probably.
But Robert, this was the European elections, and if the far right and right are Eurosceptics,
yes,
why are they presenting in European elections?
Well, look at Nigel Farage.
Yeah, I am. I was just like, why would you go in to an institution that you hate?
Because it was the best platform. That's the reason I was in politics. I hate politics. I want to go in politics because I want to create a platform to talk on and to say what I mean.
Okay.
And you get listened to. When you're a member of parliament, you get heard. The media listens to you straight away.
So can European Union and Commission prohibit far-right parties from entering the Commission?
No.
Right, okay.
Well, the Commission is not a...
Sorry, the Parliament, European Parliament, because that's a different institution. Yeah. And so now in Europe, we had France, we had Austria, Italia, Giorgia Meloni, right? And the big one, the scary one, the only one that is kind of troubling is the AfD. Can you tell a little bit about AfD, the Alternative für Deutschland?
Which is troubling? Well, I don't... I think these parties look really alike. So Le Pen, I can pronounce her party's name, but the Geert Wilders and Oliver, I think the guy from AfD. It's the same type of anti-immigration with nationalist policy. I think it's the same. And for me, I wonder how you think about this. For me, it's I don't see it as worrisome. Like I'm
the one from Germany.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm really, because the people who tell me to worry about it is the people I am worried about. And I'm like, let me see what's going on here. And I'm not anti-immigration. Again, I'm against government intervention, which means that I also believe you have the freedom to move wherever you want, but you also do not have the right to anything. So if I would move to Germany, I should, but that's on my accord, my responsibility, and I shouldn't expect or demand, money or any kind of help.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
So that's my point on immigration. But so leave it up to the free market, actually. But I'm not afraid of the AfD, and I wonder if you are, from what makes you more afraid of them? Because you said there's one party to worry about, and that's the AfD.
They worry about, I'm not afraid of them because I believe in the German institutions and I believe in the democratic values of Germany, and I believe in Germans in general. Like, they're quite reasonable people and they have learned lessons from their past. But AfD is worrisome. God damn it, man. I mean, like, Do we have to say it? Like they had
Yeah,
the biggest, national Nazi Party of Germany was a party that was legal. That was fine. It was voted in.
Yeah.
They voted in. They did the voting after the First World War. They had the Versailles treatment, and they had all that stuff, and they voted in the chancellor, and then there was all legal process, and it was it went all through according to plan. There was nothing illegal or controversial about the Nazi Party until the 1939.
This is my main reason why I say you should not equate morality to legality.
Exactly.
So something that's legal is not per se moral, because everything what happened in Nazi Germany was according to the law.
Yeah.
Opposed to, for instance, everything that happened in the United States under Jim Crow, where African Americans did not have the same rights as white Americans.
Yeah.
It was also lawful. Everything was lawful, but it was not moral.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, that's a big but important distinction we need to make in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And they say there's a great saying that said like evil happens when the silent majority is silent. Like, you know, if you see evil,
even evil happens when good men do nothing.
Exactamente. Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect one. So I think that happened. I mean, that happens everywhere. It's just our personality. But AfD is worrisome because Germany is huge. Germany is powerful economically, culturally. Their neighboring country here, they're a significant contributor to the Ukraine war financially.
EU is Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the powerhouse in Europe.
No doubt. Don't they have the biggest representation in the European Parliament?
I think they have
90 million, because they have the biggest population, so it goes by population, right?
Yeah.
It's worrisome because I don't want to see Germany going that one right. I love Germany, and it's just worse. I'm not scared.
I phrased it wrong.
I understand that there are people that are really worried because the East Germans, they voted almost.
It's because of them. Yeah,
that's why, right?
Yeah.
East Germany from Berlin eastwards.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting to me, Robert. And I want to know what's your opinion because those guys were under communist rule.
Yeah,
they know what's up. They know what's the shit. They know. They're the poorest in Germany.
And that's exactly why I voted for them.
But
I still want to go back because you're not, because I have a feeling, I'm just going to...
squeeze it out.
I'm just going to point it out. Yeah. I have a feeling you have an opinion about this topic which is constructed because of media messaging, but it's not... I wonder how much substance there is. That's why I asked you, because I'm really curious about... I think it's a feeling, based on a feeling, and maybe less on some... Because I still didn't hear. I think I still didn't hear anything. Why you think it's worrisome?
Okay, fair enough. It's good that you put me on the spotlight. I think it's just worrisome because they want to have more. You know what? I think it's just that they don't want to delete. They want to. Germany has to be part of the Green Deal. They have to be part of supporting the environmental deal. It's an important country industrially. And if AfD, if I understand right, they don't really believe in climate change. They don't believe in this. I'm not talking about the immigrant part. That I kind of understand the frustration and the anger that is felt in Germany of what's happening, because they took in. Didn't they take almost 3 million Syrians?
Yeah, the amount of refugees going there is insane. We're schaffen das, Merkel said.
Right, and then Merkel opened the doors. She took in 3 million without consulting the parliament. She did it on her chancellor. She was one of few federal overrulings she did in her career. And the crime in there is just... It's really insane how much they just happened to one guy, Islamist guy, just murdered a police officer a week ago, and another right-wing politician.
Did he murder him?
Yeah, stabbed him to death.
I saw because I saw the images. I didn't know he died. I thought he was in the hospital.
He died. The right-wing politician and the police officer both died.
Oh wow, the politician too. Yeah.
And then just a couple of days later, some Afghan refugees unalived the poor little teenage girl in Eastern Germany, and it's just happening a lot, and they're not doing themselves any favor, the immigrants. It's just not. Yeah. And I understand AfD is like pouncing on this. So this is our country, goddamn. I understand that, but that's not worrying to me as it should be. But it's not worrying to me is that climate change. Germany is a significant contributor. As much as we do in Netherlands or Finland or Sweden, it's Germany and France that needs to be on this environmental side, and that's what is worrying me. And I want them to be like understand that it's not a hoax. Like whatever you say about Trump and stuff like that, I don't mind what he does, but the climate, we need to take that seriously. Even if you don't believe in it, we need to take it seriously because it's the only planet we have. And it doesn't matter if there's a climate change or not. We need to keep it clean. We need to respect it. We live in it, of the air quality, stuff like that. And if Germany is not respecting this for AFD, then we need to be scared. Like,
that's interesting. I really thought it was about the what most people say about the anti-immigration, maybe being anti-EU also. I'm not sure if I think AFD is also anti-EU.
I'm not scared of that.
But interesting. Now I want to know if I want to go into the climate thing, because you mentioned several things. I think, and because you said, if you do not, even if you not believe in it, you should be worried about it. But those things are contradicting. I'm not going to worry.
How are they contradicting?
Because I'm not going to worry about my face melting if it's not a viable option. So if I don't believe that my face can melt off, and I'm not going to worry about it.
Okay.
I don't know why the F I came up with this example. This is the first thing that came to mind. But so you definitely need to know and believe before you can worry about it. Like there's not, if you don't believe in pink dinosaurs, then you're not going to be afraid walking out being stamped up by a pink dinosaur. It's not going to be on your radar because you don't believe in it.
But that's very abstract. I mean, you believe in throwing trash in the street, and you believe that's a trash that you should not throw in the street.
I know, but
that's education.
But it's not that simple that you say if you don't believe it, still worry about it. It doesn't work that way. So if you don't believe in climate change, you don't worry about it. That's my point.
Right. Okay. But I would like to rephrase that, and I'll say like we should definitely take care of it, that planet, even if there is or not there is like climate change.
Yeah.
I think we should take care of it anyway, and I think that's what AFD is claiming, is that let's pump up more industrial because there's no such thing as climate change.
Yeah, exactly. But those are different things.
Those are different things. You're right.
Because I agree with them.
In which
that there's no climate change.
Okay.
Not in the sense that people make us afraid of. And even the ICC?
International Court of Criminal Justice?
No, IPCC. That's what it is.
What's that?
That's those are the people who said that 98% of scientists agree that humans create climate change.
Okay, and you don't believe in it?
No, because even that quote is misquoted from them.
Okay.
I believe in climate change, but I'm not convinced that the human factor is large enough to make an impact. And I also think that you should make a decision, because if you want to... Because Germany did a stupid thing, if you talk about Germany.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this.
They had the most clean, reliable energy source there is.
True.
And they killed it
because
of the green agenda.
Absolutely true.
And this is something the AFD would also comment on. So that's why I think the idea that they are against the environment as a total, because I can speak from that side of the aisle. I know people in my environment who are also non-believers of climate change, but they care about their surroundings. They care about trash. They care about pollutions. They care about, because one of the biggest problems there is the diversity in nature, like animal population, which is getting decimated.
Yeah,
let's call it the classical Greenpeace agenda. You should look up Patrick Moore. Patrick Moore is I think he was the founder of Greenpeace, and he's been there for a long time, but he left a while ago, stating that he saw a change coming in. They went from the classic environmentalist talking points towards what he is called. It's. I mean, I don't want to use this. I'm not going to use the word. Let's see if I can say it without it. Towards the topic of climate change, but also the dystopian measure that came with it. He saw a more political environmental movement come up, who didn't really care about what he thinks were the most important topics there is. The things you mentioned also, as we should all worry about the way we handle trash and pollution. Those things are important. And I without looking, I want to bet that AFD thinks the same.
Okay.
They're not careless about throwing trash. That's not what they meant. But they're meaning that there's this carbon emission thing or nitrogen emission thing, which has to be kept according to some people, which just, this will kill your industry. This will kill your prosperity. And if in Europe, because so this is also a good topic why I think people are voting for these people, because they see that we are committing economical suicide in the EU. Our production, especially the production from Germany, is going overseas.
Okay, I agree here.
So
this is a big one.
Even if we would produce here, it would be fairly clean compared to other countries.
Yeah, I know what you're going there and go. I want to hear your controversial take on this, because you're now going too smooth, whereas I'm very controversial on this. Go on. And in this,
I'm not sure if I know people. I can't. I can't say what's controversial for me, because for me, I think most people think everything I think is controversial, but for me, it's all normal. But what we're doing now, so we're killing our industry, and it's all going to China. So China has become the production country of the world, producing everything with far less. Even China is now moving up of the low cost production. They already evolved into a next state.
Yeah.
So now it's going to India or other kinds of countries, but still they do not adhere to the same rules as we do. So if you even believe in climate change, it's just a waterbed. You remove it here, and it comes from there.
I like that analogy. So one of the most ridiculous things in European Union is that if you take a Spanish orange, and you wanna it's really well known, Spanish oranges or Spanish fruits, they will ship it to like New Zealand to package it because it's cheaper there, and then they will ship it back to the United States to sell it. European Union makes this happen by subventions. It's really true. So it's really famous. There's like it's Spanish for sure, and then cucumbers. Yeah, Spanish cucumbers that are sold in Germany. This is freaking true. They package them in Thailand. So make them in Spain, get them all the way to Thailand, put the plastic wrap up in there, and bring them all the way back to Hamburg to sell them in German.
That's insane.
It is insane. And Germany and European Union also does this. They also give subsidies to a lot of petrol companies and a lot of meat companies.
Well, I don't think subsidies, but they just don't give
subsidies.
I think they don't tax them as much as people would like.
Can you look it up? Because I think it's subsidies, and that pisses me off. And okay, it doesn't. I don't know if that has anything to do with the right wing.
I think it's tax cuts.
Tax cuts. Okay. Yeah. This has to stop. We have to do things here in Europe. I mean, it's not in Europe. If you're United States, make the stuff in the United States. If you're from Colombia, make the stuff in Colombia. We don't need to get packaging our pears and freaking fruits in Thailand and bring them all the way back in a ship and make business for petrol companies and pollute the hell out of our skies, because that's clearly the diesel that is the most dirtiest diesel in the world, by the way. It goes to those tankers. One tanker, Robert. One tanker of Maersk tanker, that is the tanker that brings the cars and all the fruits and
containers,
stuff. Container pollutes as much as 2 million passenger vehicles.
Yeah. That's. I find those videos funny. Then you see like a photo of a plane with a cruise ship on top of it, and say, these are billionaires flying the world, and I'm sipping on my carton straw.
That's right.
On my paper straw, because that saves the environment. And then you see, what's her name? The woman, the famous
Taylor Swift.
Going around in a plane, picking up a boyfriend. They have a map of how she goes around the USA.
Now, in this sense, I will be even more radical than the far right. But there are obviously some far rights, like a Spanish one that are tanking down, because in Spain they're not gonna win. I mean, the far right VOX is called. They're not gonna go much further, because they were like all about anti-abortion and anti-female. Like they wanted the woman stop women voting.
Yes.
No.
Again, I said this is a good idea.
It's a horrible idea. I think women should vote. Women should keep more key positions than men, because and they're much more better at that.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Women are much more level-headed, man. We're just like I'm not saying that they're like less aggressive or less impulsive. They're just more.
No, they are. Why not?
They
have less testosterone.
Yeah, exactly. So. They're more level-headed, and they make decisions on a long-term basis, where we are looking more like short-term basis. But besides the point, I want to say that my question to you is that what's happening next? After all this right-wing and the far right that is now rising in Europe, what's the next step?
I think not so much for people who are afraid of this movement. Like I said, I kind of feel more at home. No, I don't like any of them. That's my whole problem. I don't like any of those parties. They're not adhering to my wishes. They're not about individual liberty. They're not about less government, more freedom. That's my thing, more freedom. And none of them are really close to that ideal. But what I see happening in the Netherlands, and I already saw it with Marine Le Pen as well, they changed their stances based on how close they are to power. So you've seen Geert Wilders since he got elected.
Yeah, you said
he was a Nexit guy. There's no Nexit in his... so he became the biggest party in the Netherlands, but he doesn't have a Nexit stance anymore like he used to, because the parties he wanted to rule with were against it, and he had to take a step back, and he did, which I think is stupid. And then you have Marine Le Pen, who had... And I remember that there were a lot of polls coming out stating that she... that she had how you say that there were polls saying that people found her too extreme, and I wonder...
Le Pen,
a few years ago, and I wonder if that's real, if that was a real poll or put out by some propagandist bureau to make her more conformist. Because what I see what happened, they all, when they're close apart, they start to conform towards the powers in Brussels mostly. And I don't think none of these people have the bite to really push through what they want. Immigration is something, like I said, it's coupled with the European Union. So if you don't leave, you don't have your own immigration policy. That's up to Brussels. So I don't think any of these parties have the will to leave the EU.
But hold on, isn't Ursula von der Leyen, who's the Commission president?
Yeah,
she's also standing for election, right?
No, she's an unelected bureaucrat.
But her party is the biggest party, right?
Yeah, her party became the biggest party. Yeah,
right. And she's still quite powerful, right? I mean, in the sense of like...
She is, yeah.
Yeah, so she's...
Not quite. That's my whole problem with this
She's immensely powerful in Europe, yeah.
And she's unelected.
Yeah, that's also very crazy. But I think what I want to say is that if European Union... My question... This is a question I'm just asking, like... Because there's now a lot of coordinated immigration happening from all sides coming to Europe, like from Africa, Middle East, Russia, etc. We're taking them, pretty much all of them in. And you're saying even if the right wings get into power and they go to European Parliament power, can they not change the law within European Union Parliament to make it so that the European Union says, no, we're not taking you in?
If they would make laws, but the Parliament we elect are not allowed to make laws.
Okay, so can you explain that? Because this can make it quite complicated.
So... Ursula von der Leyen, it's such an... That's why I hate the EU, because it's such a dystopian institution. So you have a European Parliament made out of 600 something.
702.
It's like an amazing amount of people.
Yeah.
But they only vote on the proposals being put forward by the European Commission. And the European Commission is... institution which is it elected by the... I'm not sure actually now if it's elected by the European Parliament, if it's indirectly chosen.
By country states. But that commission is also the commission that sets the budget for supporting Ukraine war or any other war. That's the commission, right? Okay, so von der Leyen, the commission president, runs that.
Yes.
Okay, and she's the one who greenlights the money going to Ukraine. Yeah,
and I think European Parliament might have a veto, but then you have to have like a crazy amount to vote against it. But the power is concentrated in the European Commission. They decide which agendas and trains and laws they put forward, and it still has to be ratified by the national governments. But that's my problem, that most of the laws are now being dictated by the Brussels, and we just have to say yes, and you can't even say no, and sometimes are already even into effect without the national parliament here ratifying it. So there's.
So what do you think about what's going to happen with the Ukraine war and the financing of it? Because we just heard that Ukraine might be getting 50 billion euros of the Russian frozen assets, of the interest of the Russian frozen assets. Do you think the far right can have say in the further down the road of how it's financed and how it's been?
I think.
Do they stand on any side of that war?
I was just thinking when you said that. I think because a lot of times they are being. That was AFD. They were called a pro-Russian party.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think they're more closer aligned to Russia than most of the other parties are. But I don't think they can and will stop anything about what's going on there, because it's mostly in the hand of the European Commission. I don't think it will change.
Okay.
Because again, it's such a intransparent behemoth of an institution where everything moves really slowly, and I can see people coming into power. Meloni is a good example. She was really radical. I really liked what she was saying.
This is the Italian prime minister.
Yeah, the Italian prime minister. But they also get money from the EU.
Yeah, big time.
So, and Orban, that's the funny thing about Orban, like, because they say to him, okay, yeah, F you, never mind. You're not getting any more. But he changes his mind because of that as well. So the power construct is such in favor of the powers that be that changing it, you need to be really radical. And I don't see any of these parties have the backbone to do that. So I don't think it will change much. That's why I also don't believe in politics. And I think voting, because there's unelected officials who just put out a line, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of revolution to change that. So I don't think I don't think it will change that much. So I think the Europe, I mean, maybe we can dive into we did last time into the Russian-Ukraine conflict, because I think it doesn't change that much. And it's also interesting because Macron, of course, he lost the elections.
Yeah, so this is another point, because he's the one who wants to put French soldiers on the ground to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's going to go down well with the Germans and the other ones. I'm not sure.
It's probably not going to go really down with the French themselves.
Right, because how far can you stretch military to go all the way there? You need to go through Germany. So
I think that it's not about the logistics. They can do that. But it's about the fact that you have Frenchmen dying in Ukraine, which doesn't sit well with Frenchmen.
No.
And the thing is, but you know what is interesting about this conflict? Because I looked into it, and
in which way?
In the sense that, why is Macron all of a sudden being so vocal about?
Is it all of a sudden? I thought it was from the beginning. Quite.
No, he was not like putting troops on the ground.
Oh, right, that's what you mean. Yeah.
That's an escalation of the war, which I think also. It looks like it's escalating into a thing, because the Russian army is advancing. I don't want to say rapidly, because I think I told you in another episode, they have this war of attrition going on. It's really deliberately slowing and grinding down the army of the Ukrainians, instead of which in the news, if you look here, people think it's about gaining territory. So when they talk about Bakhmut, or we conquered it, or they lost it, it's news. But the Russians never cared about holding territory. When they conquered Bakhmut, and then they were pushed back again, they didn't mind, because they mapped out the whole city when they moved back, so they knew where the places were where they can concentrate artillery fire on, just to inflict as much damage as possible. They didn't care about the geographical positions they were in. They just cared about grinding down the Ukrainian army, which they unfortunately have been doing really effectively. And now there's not more resistance, so they're pushing up. So that's why you also now hear about people talking about troops on the ground, because money and equipment doesn't help anymore if you don't have enough personnel to have a functional army. An army is not just people; you have to have divisions and support, and that's been eliminated actually already quite a while back in Ukraine. So now you see France saying, "Hey, we need to have troops on the ground," but that's also for a different reason, because the conflict is not just. I am still convinced this is a proxy war from the US and its allies with Russia, which is fought over in Ukraine. It's not a lot to do with Ukraine itself. But there's also conflict in Russia and other states. Russia is fighting the West on multiple fronts. China is doing it in Asia, and I think the US is sacrificing its protectorates, meaning the European Union or Europe, and Japan, for its war. So, that I think that's. But there's some conflict in the Sahel. You know what the Sahel is?
No, what is that?
The Sahel is the countries around the Sahara from east to west. So it runs from, on the one side you have what is it?
Egypt on the west, east.
No, it's like Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
That side.
All the way to Mauritania.
Exactly. And a lot of those countries are colonies or ex-colonies from France.
Yeah.
But they still use the French franc.
Yeah.
And they still make a lot of money out of that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if you heard, but the US and France is being kicked out in multiple countries in the last year.
Niger,
Niger, Chad, was another one. And that's probably also because Russia is, Wagner is there. The Wagner mercenary army is there. And I think Russia is messing with France on that side. Mm-hmm. And France are getting kicked out and losing influence. And they're talking about abandoning the French franc or the African franc, which will mean that they will make less money and have less influence in the world from France. And I think they're pissed. And that's why now they're being more vocal going against Russia in that conflict, because they're losing in that other conflict.
Interesting take. For me, it was just like, for once and all, we should just destroy Russia. Just for once and all. It's been a power of evil since its inception. Since it was started by the Vikings in Rus, the Kayvan Vikings, it's been a force of evil. It has contributed nothing to the world except a couple of satellites and a couple of things in the world, and Kalashnikovs. Who gives a shit?
Classical music.
Kalashnikov, whatever. Okay, Tchaikovsky, I have to say that guy is fantastic. And a couple other ones. Chess champions. Yeah, okay. Generalization. It's a beautiful country, by the way. As a land, is magnificently beautiful. But for society, besides some invaders, some chemists, contributed less than Romania. It's a country of evil.
I think that's an oversimplification of
I have very good Russian friends who they're so sad. They're like Iranians who are just like, our country has so much potential, and they're just not. They have freaking good athletes. What amazing wrestling team, football team, ice hockey team, handball, great in Olympics. Why is it so goddamn not developing in this world?
The government.
Yeah, it's just a sad thing. It should be like 50 countries instead of one. That's what I'm saying with destroying it. I'm not talking about killing people off. I'm talking about like giving those individual states that are within the Russian Federation like power. Yeah. Like St. Petersburg should be one country, Murmansk should be one country, Moscow should be, Inner Mongolia should be a country, like Tartars, there should be another country. Just like many other ones, I think it's way too big, and it has it's just it's such a force of evil in many senses that it's just collaborating. If you collaborate with North Korea and Iran, and you still have the balls to go and say, NATO this, NATO is evil. Looking yourself in the mirror and say that that's a good answer when you say that NATO was the one who provoking, and when you go to begging arms from North Korea where the people have to eat their own feces to get nutrition. That's what I'm talking about. That Putin, that guy, even if he dies, there will be another Putin. Like you said nicely in a previous podcast, it's not about him. It's about the Russian society. It's about Moscow. It's about Moscow controlling it and throwing into the meat grinder the people from the villages of east of Russia, and it's an environmental disaster. The gas fields that are happening in Turkmenistan and a lot of other areas that are polluting more methane than a lot of the cows apparently in the world combined. It's also because of Russian technology, which is absolute crap technology. So I think as a society, like
you and your superlatives the whole time.
No, okay. Well, let's say would you really drive a Russian car or Russian train or Russian airplane? Like you look at Aeroflot, like anything that is happening with Russia.
This is becoming more in the periphery now.
But that is my. I know when you don't like emotional feelings and emotional debate, but that is the sense of the world that is happening right now. If you put the things together, I will still go for the evil empire of the United States rather than having Russia and any control of things. Any Russian you meet outside, they're wonderful people. They're educated. They usually play really good chess. Some really good music.
Let's get to the...
But I'm saying, like, it's sad. it's goddamn sad that we have these amazing countries like Iran, North Korea, Russia, and all these nations inside, controlled by these people that have no contribution to the society of the world being and the well-being of our society as a human race. They're not advancing us.
I think I would love to, but I don't think you can engage in this, right?
Yeah.
You have to go.
Yeah, but we can shoot a couple of things. What do you want to say?
No, because I think I think there's. I was wondering how we got into this.
I don't know either. I just got annoyed by not annoyed, but
but
how Russia has so much potential.
And the reason that I don't like the emotional, because you can debate it. Like I can now do the
100%, yeah.
And if you want to have solutions for problems in the world, you need to look at it from a rational point of view. What's exactly the problem? How big is it? And how can we solve it? Because if you don't know the problem, or if the solution is worse than the problem, then it doesn't bring us anywhere. And emotions don't give you that clarity in that point. I mean, of course, you are allowed to have any emotions on any topic you want, but if you want to debate solutions, it cannot be on that plane.
Oh no, I was not offering or asking for solutions. I was stating that it's really sad. I'm like annoyed. Like,
but you also point out what you think is our problems. Some solutions, and I can only debate it on its merits, which means from a rational point of view. Because I think that I think people underestimate the influence the US had in a lot of misery. For instance, Iran.
100%.
So what if Iran and Korea and maybe even Russia are the way they are because of influence of the United States?
No, I'm not debating that's you're absolutely right. Like United States and Britain have caused more misery in the world.
Yeah, so that's my point.
Yeah,
so
it's not.
So it's not as black as white as evil.
No, it's not.
It's evil. Evil is evil in any form.
100%. But I'd rather live in the United States than in Russia.
Yeah, but not because of the government.
No. It has nothing. I'm not talking about government.
Yeah,
here.
but because
you're talking about government.
Yeah. Because I think I will too, but that's because of the freedom which is still instilled in the culture of the United States, not because of the imperialistic government we have. Like the government and its people, I see them separate from the
100%
from each other.
That's why I was saying that I'm not saying that all Russians should die. I'm not saying about that. Russians are wonderful people and they're incredibly talented people. I'm just saying that construction of Russian Federation must stop existing. It must stop existing. There's no sense to it. It's way too big. It's way too big.
But I'm not sure if we can decide on that.
No, we can't decide anything. Well,
I choose.
But if I could be like, okay, what would be your three first things if you were the dictator of the world?
No more taxes.
Number one, no more taxes.
Number one would be sound money.
Explain a little bit.
Sound money means that, so now we have fiat currency, which means that the central bank can just print paper money in the amount they like. There's no value connected to it. And sound money means there's some kind of commodity connected to the money, meaning gold or silver or Bitcoin. So you cannot print it into eternity and until kingdom come.
Okay.
Which makes the value of the money stays the same across time. And I think one of the biggest drains in society is the fact that you earn money. If you save it, that means you're losing because it's being inflated. The inflation means it gets worth less. So you cannot buy with 10 euros a day, what you can buy in a year. It's different. It's less. And if you can keep that the same, it will change so much in society. I will elaborate on a different episode on this topic because it's the biggest problem we have. Then taxes. The second one is
taxes. Eliminate taxes all over.
Yeah, all over. I think I'm pretty much done then with those two. I'm not sure if I need a third one.
So you will not like give like access to clean water or stop wars or
war is not, if you don't have taxes and sound money, war is not possible.
You really think so?
I know so. I bet my life on it.
So if if all the countries from United States to North Korea have sound money, that's it. That solves all the problems? That
solves a big part of the problems. Okay. Especially it solves the meddling of the US and overthrowing governments and getting puppets, which doesn't serve the people at all. It's not possible. There's no financial economic incentive to do those things. And if you have sound money and no taxes, that means no government money. That means that private people would have to put up their money for that. And they're going to look on, what's my return on investment? Oh, it's miserable people. I'm not going to pay for that.
Do you think that's why cryptocurrency is getting really, really popular. Like,
Dude, this is another topic for another day.
Yeah,
because that's why there's this saying among people saying Bitcoin solves this. The Bitcoin solves it. Bitcoin solves everything because Bitcoin is sound money, and it eliminates a lot of the misery through which is brought forth by printing money and taxation. And it is an amazing topic. I never knew so much about it since last year, and now I'm really hooked on it. This is a problem solver of a lot of things.
Okay, so you would sound money and no taxes, and third one, you would just not do anything. What, you keep
dictator,
it for
what?
You're a dictator of the world, Robert.
Yeah,
like everyone looks up to you.
I'm a simple man.
You're like, this is it. This is, I don't have anything else.
I'm giving you your freedom and responsibility back.
Okay,
that's it.
And all right, you'll still keep the armies?
No, but you know, the effects again of no taxation means that armies will probably dissolve.
So are you saying really that people won't have wars because there's money?
Not on this scale we're seeing right now.
So about land,
no.
Culture, religion.
Where does it happen?
Everywhere.
No.
Myanmar.
The conflicts if you look at the conflicts now versus 100 years ago, they're getting less and less. And economic prosperity is one of the reasons that happens.
Okay.
We're living in the least, I mean, it doesn't look at, but the conflicts we have now are at the minimum we had in our existence as human beings.
I need to check into this because I don't believe people in Myanmar or Sudan would agree with this. But
no, they don't because they have conflict. But only there we have conflict. In most of Europe we don't have conflict. Most of Africa we don't have conflict. Most of South America we don't have conflict. North America there's no conflict. Conflicts are really, really on the dying down.
We need to check into this. If I was a dictator of the world, for me, first thing would be definitely we stop all the wars immediately. Like stop them. I know it's like utopian, but we're talking about a very utopian topic here. Yeah. Second thing would be like everybody should have a plot of land. Like a plot of land where they can have at least like, I know it's crazy, but like you can have 200 square meters of land for yourself. Maybe that's too little, but like amount of land. You don't need to be in your country where you can have a land anywhere you want. You have land, house for free. You have food for free. You're going to contribute to like we have a co-op situation where everyone contributes to it. We spread the love to each other. And I would say third thing, we'll eliminate time. I want to see how that goes down.
Like just counting time?
No more time.
Yeah.
Just let's see how it happens. That's going to be insane. I'll be a pretty crazy dictator though, because dictators are crazy. So I'll be like, let's see if there's no time.
No more clocks.
What you do?
Ban all the clocks.
What you do? No more meetings?
Yeah. No more phones. No more time. Just figure it out.
Trains just run whenever, you know. But there's a movie that I want to end with this as I have to go. I will recommend a TV series. It's called it's Kate Winslet is in it, and it just escaped my mind what it's called. The Regime, I think it's called. The Regime. I'm saying it. I sent it to you before. The Regime, yeah. It's Kate Winslet. It's an HBO program. It's really interesting. Not very fantastic series, but it's interesting. It's about a dictator of a Central European fictional country. Very interesting premise. Something we'll talk about, and that's all I have to say.
All right. I think that's it for today.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.